Hi.
It does say that it's May 2nd.
That's fine.
Whatever. Or you don't know what date it is. Who cares?
Listen,
I
no.
don't.
It might as well be back in time. I don't know what's happening.
I have ditched so many theologies. One of them that is rearing its head right now is, if you skip church, bad things will happen to you.
You mean because we weren't here
Because we didn't
last week?
do live in-person church last week, and now we get here this morning.
So the god of lightning strikes
Holy
is
cow.
striking down on us. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, everything that could go wrong has gone wrong.
We
now,
wanted to
yeah,
make
the
it
titles
harder
weren't
to
updated.
find us so that we would be more appealing and mysterious. Yeah, we weed out.
Many seeds were scattered upon the road. One of them might give harvest this morning. Hey, welcome to Sojourn Grace Collective, a progressive Christian church here in San Diego. My name is Colby.
Still trying to figure out what you just said.
Go and learn what this means. I'm one of the co-pastors here, along with Kate.
Stop it.
And this is our church. This is
Yep.
Sojourn, and we pursue wholeness here, spiritual, social, and emotional wholeness. And
Jesse, I missed it. What's happening? I don't know, love. Nothing's working. That's what you missed. Nothing's been working. The live stream is labeled as May 2nd,
Yep.
which it is clearly not.
titles
but here
didn't
we
get
are,
updated for today.
which makes it
I
harder
don't
for
know.
people to find us because they look at that and think, "Oh, that's not the right day," and we'll get everybody here.
Yeah. It all belongs.
It all belongs.
It all belongs, which is one of our mottos, which is also the name of the series that we're currently in that I'll be talking more about here in a minute. Band's going to do some music for us. As always, if you would like to get the lyrics to the songs we do, you can go to sojourngrace.com/virtual. We've got Damien joining
Corner.
us for Kids Corner. We got our collective conversation, which is the time in the service where we invite you to participate with us as we put questions on the screen, and then get your communion elements ready. Whatever it is you'd like to take communion with today.
And thank you, Colby and Ben, for working tirelessly all morning to try to get us here.
So good to be here with you live again. We missed you last week. We love you. Welcome to Sojo.
I think we should call that bumper-upted. I've been rudely bumper-upted. Bumper-upted. Remember when we used to just get up in front of people and like if the mic didn't work, we could just talk louder and then they could hear us? And that was fun. It's like, oops, the mics aren't working. We'll just yell.
I think there's a lot of people on the internet trying to do that problem.
You're not listening to me. I'm just going to yell louder in all caps.
It's fine. You know what? It all belongs. It's been a while since I sat with you without a knot in my chest. Oh, it's been a while since I wanted to. I've always felt a little oppressed. Oh, it's been a while. It's been a while since I went ahead and let down my guard, 'cause I carry the weight of the words you said, and that makes it just a little bit hard to reject the lies you perpetuate. But you're not the keeper of the pearly gates, so it's been a while, but I'm coming back to fight for my place. A good day to come back home. You sent me away, but I was never alone. You were afraid there was not enough, but you can't run out of love. So I'm here to stay, and I'm sitting in the front row. It's a good day to come out of the shadow. God made me good in every way, and so I'll raise my voice to
celebrate a good day. Yeah, it's been a while since I could admit there was something missing. I've seen enough to know what love is. Yeah, and what love isn't. I'm not content to fade to the crowd. Let you decide who's in or out. So I'm coming back, 'cause I'm living proof that it all belongs without a doubt. Good day to come back home. You sent me away, but I was never alone. You were afraid there was not enough, but you can't run out of love. So I'm here to stay, and I'm standing in the front row. It's a good day to come by the shadow. God made me good in every way, so I raise my voice to celebrate a good day. Yes, I will.
It's a good day, nothing's gonna keep me out of the light. I'm not gonna hide, I got a heart in the right place, covered in the good graces of an endless love. It's a good day, nothing's gonna keep me out of the light. I'm not gonna hide, I got a heart in the right place, covered in the good graces of an endless love. Good day to come back home. You sent me away, but I was never alone. You were afraid that there was not enough, but you can't run out of love. So I'm here to stay, and I'm dancing in the front row. It's a good day to come out of the shadow. God made me good in every way, so I raise my voice to celebrate a good day. It's a good day, nothing's gonna keep me out of the light. I'm not gonna hide, I got a heart in the right place, covered in the good graces of an endless love. It's a good day, nothing's gonna keep me out of the light. I'm not gonna hide, I got a heart in the right place, covered in the good graces of an endless love. I like that, I just kept it going.
Next song, we're
Hey.
being told by the producers off stage.
How about we go to the next one? Is that what this signal is? Yeah, that's the one.
Yes, it is.
No. You can't trust us not to betray you. That's not a thing.
Wandering the road of desperate life, aimlessly beneath the barren sky. Just leave it to me, I'll lead you home. I'm so afraid that you will not be found. No. It won't be long before your sun goes down. Just leave it to me, yeah, I'll lead you home. Hear me calling, hear me calling. Yeah, yeah. Just leave it to me, oh, I'll lead you home.
A troubled mind and a doubter's heart. I wonder how you ever got this far. Just leave it to me, I'll lead you home. Vultures of darkness ate the crumbs you left. You got no way to retrace your steps. Just leave it to me, I'll lead you home. Hear me calling, hear me calling. If you're lost and alone, just leave it to me, I'll lead you home. Hear me calling, hear me calling. If you're lost and alone, just leave it to me, I'll lead you home.
So when the lies take root inside your hearts, I will remind you who you really are. Just leave it to me, yeah, I'll lead you home. No matter where you are, I'm by your side. Any road can lead you back to life. And just leave it to me, yeah, I'll lead you home. Just leave it to me, yeah, I'll lead you home. Oh, hear me calling, hear me calling. You're never alone. Just leave it to me, I'll lead you home. Hear me calling, hear me calling. You're never alone. Just leave it to me, yeah, I'll lead you home. Hear me calling, hear me calling. You're never alone. Just leave it to me, I'll lead you home.
Good morning, everyone. Hi, I'm DJ, if you don't know my name. But more importantly, I just want to let you know that you are all welcome here. And we're grateful that you're here with us today. I hope you've had a great week. Well, before I dive into a story in our Kids Corner, I would like for all of us to take a deep breath. Let it out. Take one more deep breath. Exhale. Ooh. Okay. So, if you did not know, it is Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage or History Month. Well, today I'm reading a story from this book called Stories for Boys Who Dare to Be Different. True tales of amazing boys who changed the world without killing dragons. I picked this up yesterday and I was instantly impressed because I was like, wow. I wonder if there are going to be some stories in here that appeal to kids and adults alike. So today I'm reading you a story about this guy named Al Weiwei. He was born in 1957 in China. So he has amazing art. So I want you to see the sunflower. Yeah. That's some amazing art that he created. Once again, his name is Al Weiwei. Okay. Imagine yourself in a blank gray room as big as a cathedral. And imagine that the world contains 100 million sunflower seeds. Now imagine that, instead of sprouting from sunflowers, each of those seeds had to be handmade and painted by an actual person. What you've just pictured in your mind is one of Ai Weiwei's most important pieces of art. To him, it's one piece of art made of millions of pieces of art. The same way China is one country made of 1.3 billion citizens, and we're one species of 7 billion people. Ai says that the purpose of art is to fight for freedom. In China, where he is from, people often aren't granted the freedoms that people in other countries are used to. For example, when I started criticizing the government on his blog, it was shut down. And they started spying on him by listening in to his phone calls and following him through the streets. I spoke out through art when an earthquake killed thousands of children in China. To save money, the government had built the school so badly that they came crashing down as the ground shook, trapping the children inside. Then, when police beat him up for letting everyone know, he made art from the scans the hospital took of his brain. I wasn't allowed to leave his house. His art studio was burned down, and he was even imprisoned for 81 days. To show how furious he was at the government, he filmed himself smashing an 800-year-old Chinese pot worth $1 million. I speak out for people around me who are afraid, said I. Why? Well, because we're all tiny sunflower seeds, but we're all part of something bigger too. That makes sense. So whenever you feel small, remember that you are part of a bigger picture and you are just as important as everyone else. And we're glad to have you with us. Well, I hope you have a great week. Stay strong and enjoy life in this week as much as you can. Thank you. Have a great week.
More seeds for Kate to wonder about.
Unreserved, unrestrained, your love is wild, your love is wild for me. It isn't shy, it's unashamed, your love is proud to be seen with me. And you don't give your heart in pieces. You don't hide yourself to tease us. Uncontrolled, uncontained, your love is a fire burning bright for me. It's not a spark, it's not just a flame. Your love is light, and all the world will see. And you don't give your heart in pieces. You don't hide troubled mind. It isn't anxious, it's not the restless kind. Your love's not passive, it's never disengaged. It's always present, it hangs on every word we say. Love keeps its promises, it keeps its word. It honors what's sacred, its vows are good. Your love's not broken, it's not insecure. Your love's not selfish, your love is pure. You don't give your heart in pieces. You don't hide yourself to tease us. You don't give your heart in pieces. You don't hide yourself to tease us. You don't give your heart in pieces. You don't hide yourself to tease us.
I was saying that the bumper for, you know, the little video with the emojis falling heads thing and the really bouncy music.
Yeah.
It just coming off of y'all's music that is so touching and deep and emotional and like you're in it. And then those falling emoji heads in the music. It's like when you're watching an episode of West Wing and it ends with like so serious, so sad, so deep. You're just rocked. And then they have the end music and it's like so hyper and you're like, someone just died. Like, could we not have that?
Right. It was intense. Like people, there was a whole thing and like a, national disaster just happened. Yeah.
Reminds me of
And then
that.
you have to decide too, like when to hit the button.
Yeah,
When is
yes,
the right
it was
emotional
real weird
moment
for me
to
today.
jar us
I was like,
from what-
you don't hide your love in pieces. Emoji heads. It's just weird.
Yeah,
I remember one time we did like a memorial, like candle lighting for people who had died in a shooting, and then we were like, emoji heads. Oh shit, sorry. Like, it's just weird.
It is a mood shift for sure.
Anyway,
Somehow it all belongs.
do you want to like pick from the cards? I organized them,
Fun.
and these are for sure only ones we haven't done.
I feel
If you're new to Sojourn, this is a weird time we have in our service where we all connect in the comments, answering random questions that we pick out of a little
interesting.
deck.
What is the funniest / most disappointing / weirdest / etc.?
There's an etc.
That's 4 different categories.
with an etc. So it could be anything.
What's the funniest, most disappointing, weirdest, etc. text you have ever received?
Funniest what?
Most disappointing,
Colby's over there trying to type the question.
taking a dictation, weirdest, etc.
Oh, okay.
text you've ever received. What is it? What is the weirdest one? I got broken up with via text once. That was disappointing. For sure.
Oh, it was? Did
Yep.
you get broken up or did you get broken up that way?
Both of those things. To get broken up with and to get broken up with via text message were both disappointing. I'm still
because we didn't have text message. Because I almost went, well, like you would only do that if you were a teenager, but we didn't
I was
have
like
text.
36. Yeah, this was just a while back. It's fine. It's fine.
Oh right, I remember that.
Yeah, I was gonna say you were there.
I'm like, yeah. Yeah, that was fun times.
It was disappointing.
Okay. What about you all? What have you had? The emojis make you feel like you're going into a game show. Yeah, me too. Yeah,
If
weird,
only we
but
had
delightful
prizes.
time.
I like. Oh, hey, Paul. Mercy says the most disappointing is K.
Oh, I hate that
That's a
text
good
too.
response.
It is
I
always
freak out when
disappointing.
people send that. I'm like, they're so mad at me. That's my immediate thought when you get the K is they're so mad at me. But most people who use that aren't mad at all.
No, they're just in a hurry, or
just
that's what they do.
They're fine with.
We try to do
short
a thing where we
communication.
texted each other all the time just to say like I'm not mad at you to just
Oh,
circumvent
that's
that.
not what I meant to put up there.
It got really annoying.
That's awkward.
That's really awkward.
Okay. I clicked a different one. I'm sorry.
Woo! All of this
That's the one I
fun
meant to-
truths
I
are
told you
coming
this
out.
is an awkward time.
The fun truths are coming out today. Disappointed by people.
Oh, Bill got a text from his wife saying that just said attorney.
That is confusing. Was she trying to Google it and had like her text app open accidentally? Disappointed by people's lack of texting. Like you'd like them to text more frequently or more words. Important follow-up questions. Jesse's been broken up with multiple times via text. That's not cool. What is with people?
Y'all have kind of some deep and really like these are not just light-hearted responses. This is going deep, which I'm all about. It's great.
Well, we like you guys, but this one definitely
Text last fall from the Trump campaign. That's always really awkward. You're like, no, I will not sign that.
Resignation
Hey, Raina,
texts.
I want to know more about this. Especially the potato.
Please, story time.
Last night, especially the potato.
I wonder what that could be. Did someone throw a potato? Did a potato fall? Was a potato rotten?
Or the list of things funniest, most disappointing, weirdest. I can never think of these things on the fly.
I know it's hard.
Like, I'm sure I have a good answer to this, but
Yeah. Also, I feel like it's hard to go back through all of the text messages.
This is Alicia's answer when she was pregnant.
stores out of ice cream. Yes.
I'm still really disappointed by that text.
That is very disappointing.
She doesn't know. Oh, Bill says Patty doesn't know why the attorney text was sent. Yeah.
Okay, well.
Convenient.
Do you remember that time that you thought a text message sent like multiple times to me? And then you were like, I don't know why that would never happen. And I thought you were talking about like something else entirely. And I was like,
She had asked if Colby wanted coffee from Starbucks on the way
That's
over.
what it was.
And I responded with like, that is so weird. That has never happened before. And it definitely seemed like I was all capsing her, does Colby want coffee?
Colby want coffee?
Like she was so ridiculous for thinking that Colby wanted
To be
coffee.
fair, Colby usually does not want Starbucks coffee. So like there was a basis for that
Got
being
real awkward. And
But I
then
have this whole thing like I'm going to let him change. Like I'm going to ask him still just in case he ever changes his mind. And then she's just like, that would be the weirdest. Never. I can never imagine. And I'm like, wow, strong feelings.
I could share my most disappointing text, but it would go to a place we don't want it. It's just too much. So
Yeah.
funniest. I can't think of a funniest.
The potato story is a story for another time.
I can't wait to hear the
Right now, we're
potato
going to make up
story.
some potato stories.
All right,
I
let's.
once got a voicemail with two friends talking about me.
No.
Like that
Can you hear Ben?
They were actually talking about them.
That's a nightmare.
It was a brutal conversation. I had to call them back.
Ben got friends
Matthew, was it your
leaving.
phone
Of
that was on during our conversation?
Oh, God. That's my
Question has gotten
nightmare.
weird so many times. It's gotten weird a bunch of times now.
That is my nightmare.
Oof.
People accidentally talking shit about me in front of me. That's my nightmare.
Right? I don't want to hear it. I'm fine if you do it when I can't hear it. Like, that's fine.
Yeah, as long as I don't know about it. I mean, like.
Okay, sorry. This is another one that's this many words, and for that I apologize.
Oh.
Jesse Hawkins' full characters.
What did Jesse just say?
Oh gosh.
Face texted my boss multiple emojis of coffee
need a
and
different
donuts
question.
holding hands and in love.
We can't. No one can answer this question without getting in trouble with someone. So we're gonna get a new question.
Okay, new question.
Y'all are so funny.
Also, I still haven't received drawing. Oh my God. Thank you.
Good job.
Well, maybe we were just holding you in love.
Okay. What's the funniest name you can think of for a pet? I I don't know. I just listen. The other one was like, if you had to pick one person to be on an island with you forever, which one person would you pick? And like that, it's just too fraught.
Why? Because you might offend somebody that you leave out?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm fine answering that.
Okay, well, I'll talk about the names for pets, and you can talk about the people that you choose. How do you choose between like your family members? Like, what do you do with that? You have to pick one of your children or your spouse.
I choose Huck.
Oh, well, there it is.
He's the youngest. The rest have had more time to
Well, you've got so there you go. You've got a good
grow and learn how to live on their own.
Yeah.
The rest of them don't even want me anymore. Huck still does, so I choose Huck. Sorry, babe. Love you.
It's the right choice.
Yeah. Seems you've got a good reason. That was good reasoning.
Tito says Dobby to the funny pet name, which is Tito's dog's name. So that's
yeah,
fantastic.
that is a really good one.
Tito's like, I thought of the funniest and I used it. Isn't that awesome?
A battery guy called Pretty Boy. This girl.
Yeah, Gooby is the Nichols' actual dog name, and I love that.
Okay, I really like this name. I like that name, Katie, a lot.
Eyebrow.
It's a great name.
Eyebrow the cat.
I really,
Perfect.
really like that. And of course, Colby loves that. Colby always wanted to name pets like random item, like lampshade. You
Lampshade.
named one of my fish Lampshade one time.
That's nice. We were supposed to name the cat Mac and Pancakes. Like the one cat was going to be named Mac and Pancakes.
That's cute.
He's called Jack instead. So that's funny.
Like mac and cheese, but mac and pancakes.
Yeah, Mac and Pancakes.
That's clever.
I like the guinea pig named Guinea Weasley.
It's fantastic.
Doug for a female cat is pretty good. I do like that.
Yeah, Doug for a female cat's great.
That's really great. Y'all have some good, weird animal names.
Yep. TT Tequila.
TT Tequila. Get it, girl.
5 miles. 5 miles the pet.
Name a dog Microwave. I like that.
Nice. Mike for short.
Hey, Bill, did you mean 500 miles?
Just 5 miles.
And I would walk 500 miles.
Chicken named Puddin'.
Get it? Because it's your pet and you walk it?
That's cute. Chicken. I had a chicken named Mrs. Doubtfire once.
I do think Steve is a really funny name.
I
don't
name
know why.
everything Steve all of the time. Fable jokes about it. Like Fable understands that this is true about me, that I will call everything Steve. So she'll be like, "Here's this. It's called Steve for you," before I even get there.
Wait, why can Tito not contain his laughter? What did I miss? Tito cannot contain his laughter.
The Guinea Weasley.
Guinea Weasley and Dobby should hang out sometime.
Did you miss Guinea Weasley?
I missed that.
Yeah, it was a guinea pig named Guinea Weasley.
Oh, that's too good. Right?
Why did Ray didn't respond? They talked about
That's why. I don't know. Somehow I was thinking about someone else's comment or like in the zone of reading a
movie
bunch
is
of
it?
comments. Sometimes I just turn from the screen and sit here and read and forget that I'm the one on the.
It's a children's
Jesse, I
movie.
bet you have a lot of these examples.
That was a confusing day.
Dog named Jessica.
I do really like it when people give their animals like Kevin. I think is a really funny name for a dog. That's what
Kevin,
Up.
Jessica, Steve.
Yeah.
These are all great.
Yeah, naming a pig barbecue. Oh boy, this is foreshadowing. We lived next door to a cow that we called a bull that we called Mr. Steak. That was his name.
Okay, this is getting dark. I don't know if I like this.
It's
Chicken
twisty.
named
A chicken named Nugget. Oh boy. I
can't with
Mrs.
y'all.
Doubtfire the chicken. Satani the chicken. Ozzy the chicken.
What?
I love that one.
What did Michael say?
Our dishwasher's name is Stephen.
Fighting words. We had, what was
Your husband?
Was there a children's movie called
That's
Over the
amazing.
Hedge? Over the Hedge?
Yes, over the hedge.
Yeah. Then he names the hedge Steve. At some point, the guy was like, "I'm going to call you Steve," and that since then, I think I've named everything Steve. I think that was the catalyst.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about that, but it's funny.
Cat called Dinosaur. That's like there's that the cat on Instagram that I like. so
Oh
much.
yeah, animals named after other animals.
Yeah, it's great.
That's great.
Really good, especially if the other animal.
That's
has
really
nothing to do. Okay,
fantastic.
this has gone on
Yes.
possibly long enough.
We.
Would you believe me now if If I told you I got caught up in a wave, I almost gave it away, would you hear me out? If I told you I was terrified for days, thought I was gonna break, no, I couldn't stop it, tried to slow it all down, crying in the bathroom, had to figure it out, with everyone around me saying, you must be so happy now. Oh, if you keep reaching out, then I'll keep coming back. And if you're gone for good, then I'm okay with it. And if you leave the light on, I'll leave the light on. Light on, light on, light on. And I am finding out there's just no other way. I'm still dancing at the end of the day. And if you leave the light on, I'll leave the light on. Light on, light on, light on. Do you believe me now that I always had the best intentions, babe? And always wanted to stay. Can you feel me now that I'm vulnerable in oh so many ways? Oh, and I'll never change. I said, oh, I couldn't stop it, tried to figure it out, but everything kept moving, and the noise got too loud. Everyone around me saying, you should be so happy now. If you keep reaching out, then I'll keep coming back. And if you're gone for good, then I'm okay with that, yeah. And if you leave the light on, I'll leave the light on. Light on, light on, light on. And I am finding out there's just no other way. I'm still dancing at the end of the day, yeah. If you leave the light on, I'll leave the light on. Light on, light on, light on. Oh, leave the light on. Oh, would you leave the light on? Oh, if you keep reaching out, then I'll keep coming back. And if you're gone for good, then I'm okay with it, yeah. And if you leave the light on, I'll leave the light on. Light on, light on, light on. Finding out there's just no other way. I'm still dancing at the end of the day, yeah. And if you leave the light on, I'll leave the light on. Light on, light on, light on, yeah. If you leave the light on, I'll leave the light on. You can leave the light on, I'll leave the light on.
That's a fun song. Who did that one?
Maggie Rogers.
Maggie Rogers. Follow-up question. Who's Maggie Rogers?
She's a millennial songwriter.
Oh, cool. Lovely. Let's see. Let's get situated here. Not quite where I want to be. Hi. Hello, everybody. It was a fun song. Cool.
Are you struggling? How's it going?
No, I'm fine. I'm just curious how I want to start. If I want to jump right in, or if I want to take a moment, take a breath. I think it probably means I want to take a moment and take a breath. So, would you, if you would like, with me, take a deep breath in and out. I think I'm just having a moment where I miss, when back in the day when we were in person, being able to just sort of walk up to the little podium platform area that we had and kind of have this slow start into the talk, where there was a little bit of interaction with maybe some front row folk and maybe the band as they were walking off stage and not just like right into the thing. So I think I was feeling that.
You want me to come walk behind you on the screen?
Maybe a little bit. Yeah. Just be like, man, that was such a great song. And I can pretend to settle my notes and just feel like, thanks, Matthew. It feels good. I like that. It feels good. It feels good. Okay. So I was thinking about regrets the other day. And here's one that came up for me. Now, quick trigger warning. I'm going to tell a story about my life from a time in high school during a season of my life, which I like to call oversaved. Okay, so I'll be using some uber evangelical jargon here in a minute as a way to lend some historical accuracy for that time of my life. Okay, all right. So here goes. Back in my senior year of high school, I went on a youth trip with my church group, and I developed this super tight, bonded friendship with a guy named Dennis. Now, I was vaguely aware of Dennis at our high school prior to that trip. But whereas we started the week as mere acquaintances, we came home from that trip as brothers. Like we did everything together from that point on. We formed a band together, #Room108. We became leaders in the youth group together. We organized prayer gatherings at our school. We would routinely eat maple bars and Szechuan chicken just because we were teenagers and we could eat whatever we wanted back then. But then something happened over the course of our senior year together. Dennis backslid. Ooh, is the room okay? Dennis, Dennis backslid into habits that he had previously given up. Specifically, well, I'm not going to name them. There's no reason to name them, but he backslid. And I remember feeling so betrayed at that time, so hurt that my best friend, my co-leader in our youth group, the lead guitarist in my band would walk away from the Lord like that and return to a life of sin. He and I remember we had several come to Jesus talks, and I confronted him about his sin. And I remember him repenting during these times and promising me that he would stop, only to find out that the very next weekend he went to some party while I was home preparing for our Bible study. Now, at this point in the story, you might be asking, wait, were you and Dennis friends or were you like his parent? And I'm not sure I knew the difference back then, I'll be honest with you. Finally, after a few go-arounds of this sort of backsliding behavior, I sat him down one night. What, sat him down? Okay, no, I was definitely more like a parent to him than a friend, in my mind at least. I sat him down and I read the following verse. I'm gonna put this on screen here. But now, this is what I did this. I sat my friend down and I need to share this with you. Paul writes, "But now I'm writing to you to not associate with anyone who calls themselves brother or sister, who is sexually immoral or greedy, someone who worships false gods, an abusive person, a drunk, or a swindler. Don't even eat with anyone like this. What do I care about judging outsiders? Isn't it your job to judge insiders?" This could have been one of the worst words that Paul ever wrote. Isn't it your job to judge insiders? God will judge outsiders. Expel the evil one from among you. I proceeded to explain to my friend Dennis that night that I had to stop hanging out with him. I had to cut off fellowship. Since he would not leave his life of sin, that our friendship was now over. For the most part, that was it. We hardly saw each other again after that. I did and said a lot of things in my oversaved days that I regret, but that way that I handled my relationship with Dennis stands out to me as the one that I most wish that I could undo. I lost a really beautiful friendship because what? Because I was handed and then bought into this religious framework that demanded a very narrow type of puritanical moralism? because I fundamentally misunderstood Paul's letter to the Corinthians, and I was also practiced in the art of yanking verses out of their context to fit whatever point I wanted to make? Because I was deeply insecure about who I was and jealous that so many of my peers seemed to be having a really good time in high school, while I was meanwhile exerting every last ounce I could in my struggle to walk a straight line, not because I was sober, but because I had a cross-shaped stick of pharisaical faux righteousness shoved so far up my backside. Can we get t-shirts with that for the t-shirt crew? I can see now that it was really a mixture of all of that. But still, the fact remains that this was my best friend, and I totally cut him out of my life because I thought it was the Christ-like thing to do. 2 weeks ago, I was here and I offered a spiritual nugget in our It All Belongs series. And I started with some confessions to you about certain parts of me, certain things that I do that I'm not particularly fond of. And I shared how part of what it means to embody this "it all belongs" ethos is to practice Maitri, or what can be called unconditional friendship with yourself. It's the practice of not severing off the parts of us that we don't like or ignoring that they're there, but rather with loving kindness and grace toward ourselves, we understand that those parts of us, they belong too. So now today, in a similar vein, I propose to you that another way that we embody this ethos of "it all belongs" is to look backward at the timeline of our lives, of who we used to be, what we used to be like, what we used to think and believe, the things that we might have done, to look back at those previous versions of ourselves and say, yeah, you too belong. You too belong. Not too long after the movement known as the Way, capital W Way, began, and the Way is what the first century Jews referred to those who follow the teachings of Jesus of Nazareth as, there rose up a rather fierce opposition from the more conservative crowd, led by a young whippersnapper known as Saul of Tarsus. Now, Saul had all the best ingredients to formulate what you might call a far-right first century wanker. Hello, Nottingham crew in England, that one was for you. And I also had to scroll down several pages of thesaurus entries to find a Sunday morning appropriate insult that would fit this. And I had to go outside of the country to do it. So I don't know how offensive that might actually be to our British folk. But here in America, it's like, that's funny. Anyway, Saul had an Ivy League educated arrogance about him. He had this privileged familial pedigree. And he had this cocksure enthusiasm of someone who's almost surely never said the words, "I don't know," or "I'm sorry, I was wrong." Actually, just picture Ben Shapiro. I kind of imagine that's exactly what Saul was like, okay? Anyway, how long do I have to keep that up there for? That's enough. Moving on. Okay. Anyway, in those early days, Saul was a real grade A jerk. He really was. This is how the author of the book of Acts put it to introduce us to Saul. Saul began to wreak havoc against the church. Entering one house after another, he would drag off both men and women and throw them in prison. And then a little while later, meanwhile, Saul was still spewing out murderous threats against the Lord's disciples. He went to the high priest, seeking letters for the synagogues in Damascus. And if he found persons who belonged to the Way, whether men or women, these letters would authorize him to take them as prisoners. But then something rather significant happened while Saul was on his way to Damascus. The author of Acts describes it as this sudden blinding light blasting from the heavens that encircled and totally enraptured Saul, ultimately causing him a temporary physical blindness, though it would then go on to become the catalyst for a deeper spiritual vision. Saul fell to the ground and he heard a voice that he said belonged to Jesus, asking, "Saul, Saul, why are you harassing me?" Some of you are familiar with this story, and you know that this was the moment that Saul began his shift away from this shady, havoc-wreaking antagonist and toward becoming one of the greatest teachers and church planters the Christian religion has ever known, aka the Apostle Paul. I like to imagine Paul had afternoons similar to mine this week, where you think back about previous versions of yourself and you consider regrets, perhaps maybe even on one of Paul's many times that he spent in prison, being held captive for proclaiming that Jesus was the Son of God, not Caesar. I like to think sometimes he reflected on these regrets, and I imagine that, quote, spewing murderous threats against the very communities that he would then one day embrace as siblings in the faith might have made its way to the top of the list. And yet there's a moment in his letter to the church in Philippi, which actually is one of the ones that he wrote while in prison, where he's reflecting on his past, specifically his time of harassing the early church. And he kind of holds it all up and inspects his past and these past versions of himself, the good parts of his past and the shady. And he's like, compared to knowing the truth that I am loved by God as is evidenced by Christ in me, all of this is, inconsequential. He held both his most amazing accomplishments, his highest highs, and his most embarrassing failures, his lowest of lows. He held them all with this loose sense of not shame, not judgment, and not like these are the things that defined me. He wasn't bogged down by his past regrets, nor was he fooled into a false sense of elitism because of his past accomplishments. And he wrote this. He said, "It's not that I've already reached the goal. It's not that I've already achieved wholeness. But I do this one thing. I forget about the things behind me, and I reach out for the things ahead." Now, I don't know what efforts, if any. I don't know what efforts, if any, Paul did to help set to rights the actions that he did as Saul that brought harm to people. I like to think that he visited some of those old communities and apologized for his actions and sought forgiveness and restitution and maybe advocated to unimprison those that he helped imprison. But sometimes that's not always possible, is it? Or sometimes it doesn't always make a ton of sense to go back and try to address those for any number of reasons. So sometimes maybe the best thing that we can do is, let the past be the past and, quote, reach out for the things ahead. But where I think sometimes we can get tripped up is that we don't let ourselves off the hook for who we used to be and how we used to think, and what we used to believe, and maybe how it caused us to act. I have no doubt that Saul was a product of his environment in much the same way that I was the product of mine. Now, this does not excuse my self-righteous, overzealous, judgmental attitude. I still have to take responsibility for it. But it does hopefully give me the necessary daylight to say to my past self, you know what, Colby, sure. If you knew then what you know now, you probably wouldn't have done things the same way. But in your own way, I do trust that you were doing the best you could with what you had. In the same way, friends, I'm comfortable suggesting that you, watching this here live with us or listening back to this on a podcast later or maybe rewatching, I trust that you also were doing the best that you could with what you had. That you too were products of your environment. Not in a way that lets you off the hook, but in a way that hopefully ushers understanding. Oh, yeah. That's why I was the way I was. And that sort of understanding can lead to compassion for our past selves. And that compassion then opens up this door for love. So to say it all belongs in the context of these past versions of ourselves is not about writing this blank check to excuse all the ways in which we've caused pain and suffering to ourselves or others. That's not the point. Rather, I think the point is that judgment and shame and condemnation, these don't offer pathways to wholeness. They don't. They don't. This is true about our posture toward others right now. It's true about our posture toward ourselves here in the present, as well as our posture toward ourselves in the past. Judgment, shame, condemnation do not provide pathways to wholeness. We may not be particularly fond of who we used to be at different stages in our lives, yeah? We may cringe at how we used to think or how we used to treat people, sure. But the way to move on is not through beating yourself up or wallowing in self-hatred. At least I don't think. I think it's through love. I think it's through acceptance. And I think it's through saying to your past self, it all belongs. It all belongs. Even that version of myself. Somehow it all belongs. Thinking back to that song the band sang a few moments ago called Pieces. And how the song says that to consider God and God's love, that God does not give God's self in pieces, that there is a wholeness, a fullness to the giving of the divine to us, that there's not this holding back. And I wonder what that would look like if we began to consider that sort of giving of our full selves to our full selves. That if we didn't just pick the pieces that we liked of ourselves, like I talked about 2 weeks ago, or the versions of ourselves that we like, but what if we gave our entire selves and held it all and trusted that somehow it does all belong and somehow it is all loved? One more time from St. Paul. When I was a child, I used to speak like a child. I used to reason like a child and think like a child. But now that I've become slightly more developed, I've put an end to those ways of thinking. Now, faith, hope, and love remain. And the greatest of these is love. Amen.
I really like as a message is going, as a spiritual nugget is going, the interactions and the reactions to it. It's like we get a bunch of sermons because we get what you're sharing with us, or like if I'm sharing what I'm sharing with us, and then we get everybody's takeaways and their processing, how it's landing. It's really beautiful for me. It's like an added experience of church that I'm like, ooh, how do we hold on to this? Because when we meet in person, if we're all sitting there on our phones, like that might be kind of problematic, but I don't want to lose that way of connecting either. You know what I mean? I was thinking about that, but
some people do sermon feedback, like right after the sermon.
That's cool.
Just open up the floor, and I've seen it done incredibly well.
That's a good idea. I like that. That's like when we started Sojourn, we used to do like sermon, and then discussion about
Sunday.
the series for a whole Sunday. And then, so I like doing what Ben's saying. Anyway, the point is I really like all y'all's thoughts in the comments, and your message today reminded me of Susan's post in the sanctuary
so
about
good.
forgiveness. It reminded me of that, about how like my takeaway from from her sermon in the sanctuary was like we constantly were like trying to feel better about something that we messed up on, like saying I'm sorry, and she had this realization that like a better way to move forward is to be like I hear you instead, you know.
Yeah.
That's what your message just now made me think of.
Ben, say what you said, but a little louder into your microphone.
I was saying some churches do like a sermon feedback. So right after the sermon, open the floor, everyone sort of in discussion and talk about it. I've seen it done really, really well.
So that's what we were hopping on and saying. We like that and it reminds us of things. Yeah. Oh, see, I love stuff like that. And when people are like constantly showing up, hearing what they need to hear. I love that experience too of we don't know when we're writing or planning for the day what people need to hear, and then when people do just show up getting something. And I'm saying that as we go to take communion because I think that we could show up here and say anything